Live from the canyons of Vermont, it's amateur radio station K1GMM, where zip ties and duct tape are a man's best friend and cheese is always extra.
Hey, what's going on, folks? Just gonna do a quick stream here, and I'm in the process of getting set up for the Vermont QSO party coming this weekend. So, just gonna be testing systems over the next couple days. I'm gonna be going hot and heavy in the Q party, so not a big deal. See if we can make a few contacts, maybe call CQ a little bit, and I will be in here later. But I figured I had, about 35 minutes. See what I can round up here. Anyways, I don't have the chat up. So I'm trying to arrange my windows. And it's not going well. So we'll see. Boy, you guys are, Glenn, 9 Alpha 3, good to see you. Hans, Greg, what's going on, you guys? It's just gonna, I don't know if I'll rag through, I'll just see what happens here. I'm just on 40. I'm just making sure everything's gonna work here. So this is really informal, nothing really much going on. So we did a new camera arrangement and blah, blah, blah. You know, no big deal. Eddie, what's cooking? K7EFS, Greg, Hans, Glenn, and I can't remember your name, 9 Alpha 3. My sincerest apologies. So let me pop the chat open. Pop out chat. There we go. And close this window. And I can kind of keep track of what's going on here while we're... see if we can work a couple stations. John. Dude, Winter Haven, Florida. What I would give to be in Florida right now. It was like 7 below zero this morning. Not as bad as it could be, but still pretty ugly. And cold today with the wind howling up through the valley. So I think wind chills are about 20 below, which is balmy compared to what it could be, right? So anyways, let's get off and running here.
And they just totally ignore it. And of course, the FCC has no enforcement anymore, and it's really an irritation. I don't know where all this is going, but you know, HF radio is a backbone of ham radio, and if we lose it because of
yeah, no
all
kidding,
this
Eddie.
RFI,
it's just painful, dude.
it's not going to be a good thing. Anyway, we do a lot of vintage
where the mills used to be, and I guess they're doing some studies on better foods for you and what have you. Don't hear much out of it anymore.
Okay, Glenn, you got some questions. Hey, Tom, how's it going? M0RMY.
We're going to be a little warmer when we...
Yeah, Tom, you stick around here, you'll be scarred for life, buddy. Just warning you.
My brother is in a 55 and over community.
Well, let me go ahead and see if I can answer some questions, Glenn. Because this is, you know, I can play radio anytime. So let me make some time for you.
Their backyard is actually...
Alrighty. Let her rip on the questions. Directors. Hey, Bert. Hey, Bert. Well, I'll bet it's beautiful down where you're at, man. Good to see you. There's a couple different ways to put directors on a Moxon. Some guys do a very basic straight director, right? Let me grab a pad. I'll just share with you what I know, which ain't gospel. So let's say you've got a Moxon rectangle. So let's do an arrow. This is direction of radiation. X is the feed point. So you have a driven element. A driven element is the X, and that's the direction of radiation. And then you have the reflector behind it, right? Some guys do directors. In other words, kind of like a Yagi. They'll add directors. I don't do that. What I do is I use the capacitive coupling, which is what the Moxon rectangle is all about. It's all about capacitive coupling. That's how it generates more gain than a comparable Yagi. It's still a 2-element beam, but it generates almost half an S unit more gain. Probably the most gain of any 2-element and Yagi style antenna, shy of a 2-element quad. So what I do, oh, that's good, Tom. Good. I don't feel bad now. I won't feel bad. So if you can see that picture, Glenn, so what I do is I add basically another Moxon, but you can calculate it. Moxons are strange because they require a lot of tweaking to get them going, but they're really not that complicated. The most complicated thing is how do you support multiple directors. Very easy to do a Moxon up to 15, 17 meters. 20 meters gets pretty wily as far as a Moxon if you're not going to hang it in the trees. So it's pretty big. A 20 meter Moxon rectangle is huge. So that's how I do it. You can start with, my best advice to you, let me see if I can pull it up on the screen. Geez, I wasn't planning that. Let me see if I can find it here. Hang on. Give me a moment. Let's see if I can find it. 11 meter, 4-element Moxon. So if I go to images, there it is. Okay, so let me put this on the screen for you. Believe it or not, this is how I do mine, and they come out cracking. Actually, I got to go to the website. Hold on. This is a 5LE. I don't want a 5LE. I want a 4LE. So let me see if I can find the 4LE. There it is. Yeah, Yankee Foxtrot 1 Alpha. This is the site that I work off of. Superb stuff. So, good heavens. It's a 3-element. Okay. Let me grab this. I'll put it on the screen for you guys. Okay, that's the screen. Let me expand it. There we go. Full screen. Okay, so if you look at this, right? Of course, you've got this, the driven reflector. Now, don't pay any attention to the numbers, all right? This is what gave me the idea to do this with other bands. And I built one of these. This is the antenna I built for 11 meters, and I'm telling you, man, this thing was the best antenna I will probably ever have. I ran it on 10 meters. I don't know if you've been around long enough to hear my remarks about this antenna, but when I first got in the hobby as a technician, I ran this antenna. I originally built it for 11 because I came off the CB band, and I used it on 10 meters. It had monstrous bandwidth and absolutely ferocious gain. It was stupid how much gain this thing had. So let's say you want to build this, but you want it built on Well, I run this exact same type of antenna on 6 meters, and it's cracking. It's an awesome antenna, and it's small. The easiest way to go about doing this, to give you a starting point, because Moxons, if you build it like this, right, using capacitive coupling, of course, you've got the driven, and then you have the first director, which these sections right here are a little bit shorter. Section 7 and 9 is a little bit shorter than 1 and 3, right? Now, sections 12, the fold back, sections 12 and 10 on the last director are a little bit shorter than 7 and 9. Well, how the flippin' heck do you figure out how long to make them? Because it's not like a conventional Yagi. So what I did was I looked at this, converted all these numbers. It's very labor intensive, but it's not that hard to do. Looked at this. This is really crazy way to do it because there's so much, there's so much experimentation. Once you start adding directors to a Moxon, things change radically. So what I do is I take these numbers, right? The first thing I do is I look at the space from here to here, from the back of the reflector to the driven element. Then I figure out this space, and I don't work in millimeters, I work in inches. Now remember, this is an 11 meter Moxon. So you have to, what I'm looking for is percentages. The numbers aren't important, but I have to extrapolate all this information into percentages. So what's the percentage? What is this distance on 11 meters? And how do I extrapolate that, let's say, to 20 meters? This is a hypothetical, right? I look at the spacing between 10 and 7. And you have to figure this out. You have to look at this and you have to go, okay, the distance from here to here is so much. The distance from here to the end of 7 is so much, and the distance from the end of this to 10 is so much. Once you figure that out, you can get the distance right here, okay? It's crazy. And then what I do is I figure out the percentages of the spacings, and I extrapolate that. I don't know if I have the Moxgen calculator here. Let me check really quick. Moxgen. I do. Let me launch Moxgen. So let me get this on the screen. So once I have my percentages figured out for 11 meters, right? Let's say, let me get this off the screen. Let's say that this right here, number 7, is 5% shorter. This is hypothetical because I can't remember what they are. Let's say number 7 right here, the first director. Of course, these lengths are going to be all the same. But let's say this distance from here to the back end of the first director is 5% shorter than this distance, okay? Now, what would that be on a 20 meter Moxon rectangle? So download the Moxgen calculator. Let's say 14.200. Let's say it's 12 gauge wire. You want to use the thickest wire you can possibly use. So we're going to want, that's pretty big, so let's do feet. Okay. So go ahead and run this and get your base Moxon. The problem with this is once you start adding directors, some of these things will change a little bit, but this will give you the starting point, okay? Write down the numbers. So A is this, B. So, right, you take B, 3.842 feet. You multiply that times 5%. To grab yourself a calculator, multiply it times 5%. And that will give you this right here as a starting point. It's a complicated antenna to put together. Hopefully that kind of get you going in the right direction. There's some math involved, but it's pretty easy. But you'll do a lot of scribbling on a piece of paper. This will give you all the starting points. Then you go, once you have this right here, 7 and 9, now you can go, okay, take this dimension, whatever this came out to be, multiply that times 5%. And now you've got the last director, the foldbacks. Now the spacing, most of the time I will run the same spacing between 1 and 4, between 7 and 10. And that can be, you can either cut plastic strips, it has to be non-conductive. I use paracord, believe it or not, because the whole thing's pulled up under tension. Now you say, well, how the heck do you support the thing? Well, all right, let me go back to the camera. So there's a couple ways you can, if you're talking a wavelength like 15 through 20 meters, you're going to need a boom for something like this. Because if you look at this here, let me pull this back onto the screen. This is what I want. I want to build one for 20 meters, and I figured out how to do it. Let me grab the desktop. See this number right here, A? 25 feet. This sucker is 25 feet across by E, 10 feet deep. So you're looking at an antenna on 20 meters that's roughly 25 feet across by probably 22, 23 feet, 25 feet from the reflector all the way to the first director. So it's like 25 feet square. So how the frick do you support something like that? That's what I mean. It gets really weird in how you support it. So here we go. Okay, so conventional Moxon, you can support with a central hub with 4 spreaders. You can do it with PVC, you can do it with fishing poles, Shakespeare Wonder poles. The problem is, think about this, it's 25 feet across, right? Once you get to 20 meters, it gets a little wily. Now you add directors to it, right? So the easiest way to do this would be to create a boom, and you can get stuff like this through DX Engineering. Grab an aluminum boom. You have a central hub. I'm going to make a square. I'm going to make a square here. So if you're going out to 20 meters, you got to do something like this. So you've got a boom, right? It's mounted to, let's say, a rotator or whatever. If you're going to Armstrong it, it would still be very light. I would build it out of aluminum. Now remember, the boom is going to be flipping long, dude. It's going to be like 20 feet long. And you've got central hubs. You have to manufacture hubs with spreaders that load under tension. And each corner of each set of elements is fastened to the spreaders. So that's how you support it, and you pull it up under tension. I'll show you a picture of what an actual picture of what it looks like. Yeah, there you go, dude. Okay, yeah, let me address something you're talking about here. Okay, so theoretically, this is built for the triple nickel, okay, 27555, and you can pretty much do this through, you can expect these type of gain figures. Definitely, at least. Let me pull this up on the screen. So here are the models for this particular type. Is that a 5 element? Okay, here's the 4 element right here. Okay, so you got about 8.47 dBi. Let's see. You can look at the SWR curve plot. Check out the angle of radiation. This is why I like Moxons. This is what I wanted to show you. Look at the gain figures on this thing. It is, and I can attest, they are freaking savage. This is the reason why I like Moxons. Notice it looks like a hand. You have a thumb. Yeah, of course, you only have 3 fingers. But look at the amount of gain you're getting still at a moderately high angle of radiation. Of course, peak gain comes at the lowest takeoff, lowest lobe. But it's still very respectable. And the other cool thing is you don't have to run them high off the ground. So that's something I wanted. Now, I wanted to show you a picture. Okay, there you go. There's the picture. That should give you an idea of how to do this. Remember, this is an 11-meter Moxon. You won't be able to do this with a 20-meter Moxon unless you use something really crazy stout. You can always pull it up, just put it together with paracord and pull it up in the trees, point it in one direction, but you won't be able to turn it. Overall weight of this antenna would be surprisingly light. Very light for the gain that it develops in the front to back. It's pretty wicked. Okay. Enough of that crap. The only other thing, do some reading, Glenn, on trying to multiband a Moxon. Moxons in general do not multiband well. They're not like a hex. A hex is built to multiband. It just, don't ask me why. You can do some reading on it, but usually when you start putting elements inside of the other perimeter elements, the longer wavelength elements, it really screws the antenna up. There are guys that have done it successfully, but don't ask me, dude. I don't know how it would work. A Moxon is really a monoband antenna. Here's the other catch. Hey, Big D, Chile, UK, good to see you. And the stream posse, that's funny, man. Dave, how's it going? Here's the interesting thing I want to throw out there about the Moxon. I found this out. You can take one of these antennas and you can load them very easily on shorter wavelengths than they're built for and still have decent amount of gain with correct directivity. In other words, yeah, the pattern's going to go a little wonky on you, but they still work pretty well. Now, the one I had up, the 4 element, believe it or not, it was 11-meter Moxon. Dude, that thing loaded up sweet on 40 meters. No, I mean 20 meters. It loaded up beautiful on 20. It was built for 11 meters and it loaded up beautiful on 20. I couldn't believe it. I had to barely even force load it to get it to go. I started transmitting with it. The problem is it actually transmitted off the side of the antenna. So it was a total bust. Now here's the catch. I had it tuned to resonance on 27385. Okay. I had less than 2 to 1. You're going to love this. But I used 10 gauge wire, very heavy wire. Use the biggest wire you can find to get the bandwidth and the gain. It was 2 to 1 or less from 26.8 something. I think it was like 26.860 all the way to 28.4. Think about that. What freaking antenna could you possibly build to get that kind of usable bandwidth on? That's insane. And believe it or not, I worked 1,200 contacts between the end of August and the start of November of that year. I got licensed 2015 on 10 meters with that thing on 70 watts. Now I was hitting guys, and this is on 10 meters when I got my ticket. Trying to think, over 1,200 contacts, all DX. Everything from the southern tip of Argentina all the way deep into Europe on that thing, on 70 watts, no amplifier. And I'd hit guys as hard on 70 watts with that antenna as they'd hit me on like 3, 4, 5 element monobanders on 700. Crap you not. That's why I say it's probably the best antenna I will ever build, will ever have, and that's why I want one for 20 meters. But I'm telling you, man, you need a good rotator. You're talking $500 at least for a rotator that'll spin that thing, and a tremendous support system, because if it's windy, it's a big antenna. You know, it's smaller than like a comparable like 4-element, 5-element Yagi. Considerably smaller, but think about it. It's a big sucker. It's not for like the faint of heart. You're not going to stick it on a pole, you know, and guy it off with a piece of mason twine. So that's it. Let me know, Glenn, if that helped. I don't know. Do you still have the video of getting your V3 dongle working with SDR console? I didn't think I deleted it, Dave. You know how I got it working? I couldn't get it working. And I was sitting here one day, Dave. I had everything loaded in. And I think I toasted the dongle, by the way. I had everything loaded in, and I got frustrated. I couldn't make it work, so I ripped it out. And I went back to the AirSpy, and I got thinking, I thought, I'm gonna keep going with this, see if I can try it again. I plugged it back in, boom, the thing worked. Don't ask me. Don't ask me. That's what I would do. I would set it up, get your EXTIO DLL in there, whatever you need, launch the software, see if it'll find it. If it doesn't see it, screw it. Close the software, rip the dongle out, plug it back in. Try it. I swear to God, dude, that's what happened. I fussed with that thing forever trying to get it going. Couldn't make it work. I unplugged it, plugged it back in, bang. All of a sudden, there it was. Freaking SDR console. Stupid. Just doesn't make any sense. Let me see if I can... uh-oh. Oh, I'm hitting the wrong key because I'm crazy. All right. Close that. Close that. And... but no signal. So you got no signal on it. I'll tell you what, SDR console is a freak show. It is a freak show. I don't know why it behaves like that. If I didn't grenade my dongle, I'm curious. I'm wondering if it's going to work. Where is it? Where are you? Here it is. Just for giggles, I'm going to see if this stupid thing works. So let me kill SDR console. I can't believe I'm going to do this. This is so stupid. Because I have the Vermont QSO party coming this weekend. And I haven't run this in 2 months. Well, since I got the... plug it in. I don't even know if the drivers are installed for it. Okay, nothing popped up. So let me go to the desktop. We'll see if it actually works. I think it's grenaded. I think I toasted it's shot. But we'll try it. Launch SDR console. I can't even remember how to make it work. Oh, that's right. Good Lord. Okay, well, it's still in there. I don't know if it's even going to see it. So let's click start. There it is. Yeah, I nuked it. There it is, man. She's running. What the flippin' heck?
There's no water, it's very rusty. But we spent 10, 11 days up there. And I
can't believe it. It's actually working.
The clear nights when it's clear and you can see the Milky Way.
Okay. Okay. All right, Dave. I'm going to pull it up on the screen. Let me stop it. Select radio. Let's see what I got. Bandwidth is set to 250 kilohertz. I know that. I break everything, Tintillo. I do. Let's go into definitions. Converter selection. So I have an up converter on it. Set to up converter. Are you taking notes, Dave? Not that you need to. You're a smart guy. You'll remember everything. So I'm running the up converter. Down converter seeing signal from 88 to 108. Yes. From 8 to 28. Outputs the same signals in range 8 to 28. That is 80 megahertz lower. That's just where I have mine set to. I never messed with it. It just worked. Huh. Okay, so what I'm going to do... No, I won't delete it. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop open. I'm going to restart it. I'm going to pop open the directory. Program files. SDR radio. Okay. What do we have in here? EXTIO. Okay, so I've got... Okay, I've got... This is what the DLL looks like, Dave. RTL SDR++. This was a file. This is version 1.4.10. I think this is what I had to do. I had to find an old DLL to make this work, because I tried the new ones and it wouldn't work. So let me... What I can do, Dave, is I can send you this DLL. So I'll go in here and I'll copy and paste it. Shoot me an email, Dave, with your email, and I'll forward you this DLL file. You can try this particular one, rtlsdr.dll. Okay, so that, I'll email you the RTL SDR catalog as well. I just want to look through here and make sure there's nothing else related to that I stuck in here. I honestly can't remember. So, source. Oh, Okay. So there are some RTL 2832U. Yes, this is old as well. 326 2016 is when it was created. 2832 full. Okay, this is 4/9 2017. DLL 2018, last September. So I get a bunch of stuff in here, dude. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all that stuff together and I'll email it to you. That RTL is on a 32-bit machine. Whose RTL? Mine or yours, Dave? Are you running a 64-bit or 32? This is running a, okay, yours. All right. So. All right, coolio. So that's what I'll do. I'm good on QRZ, Dave. Just look me up, get my email address, and shoot me a quick email, and I'll dodge those off to you. That's about the only thing I can think of, man, as far as what to do. And unfortunately, you guys, I have to pull the plug. I actually have to pull the plug because I have to go upstairs and get my daughter. It's coming up to 2:30, and I will come back. So I'll just let this video render, and I'll retitle it. But I'll do that after I come down. So I'm going to shut it down, you guys. Okay, yes. Yeah, but I don't know if I can identify it, Dave. Start a new email thread, a new email chain. Just do it. Because there's, dude, with this streaming stuff, there is so much crap in my email account, in the Gmail account. I don't even know if I'll find it. So just shoot me a new one. We will catch you guys later. I'll be on a little bit later once my daughter's settled, and I'll go ahead and relight the stream. I want to play some radio. Good to see you guys. I don't know if that helped, Glenn, but at least it'll give you some ideas. Tom, the rest of you guys. Yeah, we'll catch you in a bit. I'll be back.